What if your dog has been waiting their entire life for one kind of love from you, and without realizing it, you've been giving them the opposite? Not because you don't care, not because you failed them on purpose, but because the thing your dog needs most doesn't look dramatic, it doesn't cost money, it doesn't take hours, and almost nobody explains it clearly. In this video, I'm going to show you the 6 things dogs quietly wait their whole lives for their person to do. And the last one is the one that changes everything, because once you understand it, you stop treating your dog like a pet you manage, and start treating them like a soul who has trusted you from the beginning. Here's the truth that hurts a little. Most owners think love means more touching, more talking at them, more directing. But many dogs are not waiting for more from you, they're waiting for something gentler than that, something calmer, something more respectful, something that tells their nervous system, you are safe with me, and if that sounds small, stay with me, because small things are exactly where trust is won or lost. 1. Give them one place in the world that is truly theirs. Look at where your dog goes when life gets too loud. It might be under a table, beside the bed, behind the couch, in a hallway corner, inside an open crate you barely think about anymore. Most owners see that and assume the dog is being strange, antisocial, anxious or dramatic. But for a dog, retreat is not rejection, it is regulation. Long before dogs slept on our beds and followed us through kitchens and living rooms, their ancestors survived by using enclosed spaces for recovery and safety. That instinct never disappeared. It just got hidden inside modern homes where dogs are expected to be available all the time, and that is the part many people miss. If your dog has nowhere they can go without being followed, called out, touched or moved, then they never fully power down. They may lie still, but part of them stays alert. Part of them stays ready. Behaviorists have long noted that access to a stable resting area can reduce stress and improve emotional resilience, especially in shy dogs, rescue dogs, and homes with children or constant noise. To a dog, a protected spot is not a luxury. It is emotional shelter, a bed in a quiet corner, an open crate with a blanket draped over part of it, a spot under a desk that nobody interrupts. That one space can change the entire feeling of your home for them, and once a dog knows they have somewhere safe to disappear, something beautiful happens. They stop needing to disappear as often. But if you think space is important, the next one goes even deeper, because this is where many loving owners accidentally teach their dog that affection comes without consent. 2. Stop reaching for them every time you want to feel close. This one is hard to hear because it sounds wrong at first. You love your dog, so of course you pet them when you walk by, of course you scratch their head when they're lying there, of course your hand drops onto their back whenever they're near. To you, that feels like love. To some dogs it feels like interruption, and sometimes over time, it feels like pressure. The modern science of canine stress keeps returning to one idea that more owners need to hear. Control matters, agency matters, choice matters. Dogs who can choose when to approach, when to retreat, and when to engage tend to show fewer stress behaviors and more stable trust. Dogs who are constantly handled on human terms may comply, but compliance is not the same thing as comfort. A dog may tolerate touch and still not want it. A dog may stay still and still be saying no. A dog may love you deeply and still want space in that moment. That is why the invitation matters. The nose tucked under your hand, the chin resting on your knee, the body leaning softly into your leg, the paw reaching toward you. Those are not random gestures. Those are choices. And once you begin waiting for those choices instead of assuming access, many dogs change. They seek you out more. They linger longer. They soften faster because now affection feels safe, not expected. And if this already feels bigger than you thought, the next one explains why some of the most trusted moments in a dog's life happen when you do almost nothing at all. 3. Come down to their level. Think about how your dog experiences you for most of the day. You are tall, fast-moving, always above them, opening doors, lifting objects, stepping over them, calling them, directing them, reaching down from the sky. Even when you are kind, you are still physically overwhelming. That matters more than people realize. Canine cognition research has shown again and again that dogs read posture with extraordinary sensitivity. Height, angle, speed, tension in the shoulders, the way someone approaches, all of it changes how safe that person feels. So when you lower yourself to the floor with no agenda, something shifts. Not to clip a leash on, not to train them, just to be there. A surprising number of dogs respond to this almost immediately. Their breathing changes, their eyes soften, they stop watching so hard. Some get up and walk over slowly, some just settle deeper into the blanket because your body is finally saying, "I'm not asking anything from you right now." This is especially powerful with nervous dogs, older dogs, newly adopted dogs, and dogs who love their people but never fully relax around human movement. Try it in silence. Sit on the floor a few feet away, turn your body slightly sideways. Do nothing. For many dogs, that moment says more than 100 cheerful words ever could. And speaking of words, the next thing your dog waits for all day long is something owners often rush past without understanding how important it really is. 4. Let them finish the sniff to a human. A walk is movement. To a dog, a walk is information. That patch of grass by the curb is not just grass. That tree is not just a tree. That fire hydrant is not just an object. It is a message board, a map, a history book, a social feed, and a full emotional update from the neighborhood. Dogs have hundreds of millions of scent receptors compared with the tiny fraction humans have. Their brains are built to process smell on a scale we can barely imagine. When your dog lowers their nose to the ground, they are not wasting time. They are doing one of the most natural and regulating things in their life. And yet this is one of the first freedoms humans take away. Come on, leave it. Let's go. No, not there. Keep moving. Sometimes we do it because we're busy. Sometimes because we think a good walk means distance. Sometimes because we don't realize that for dogs, speed is not the reward, scent is. Many trainers and veterinary behavior professionals now recommend decompression walks for exactly this reason. Dogs who are allowed to sniff more often tend to show lower frustration, better emotional recovery, and more satisfaction afterward than dogs rush through a route for exercise alone. So if your dog stops to investigate one patch of grass for what feels like forever, try this. Wait, let them read the whole thing, because in that moment, your dog is not stalling your walk. They are finally getting to experience it the way a dog is meant to. And the next one is where so many dogs begin to feel secure or insecure without their owners ever connecting the dots. 5. Build a life they can predict. You have a clock. Your dog has patterns. That is how they understand the world. Morning sounds. The way you put on shoes before leaving. The cabinet that opens before dinner. The time the house gets quiet. The hour the leash usually appears. The chair you sit in every night. Dogs live inside rhythms far more than most people realize. Their emotional security is built on what repeats, what returns, what can be counted on. When those patterns hold, dogs relax into them. When they break constantly, some dogs become unsettled in ways owners misread completely. They seem clingy, restless, hyper, alert, demanding, reactive, hard to settle, but underneath that many times is simple uncertainty. What happens next? When are we leaving? When will you return? When do I eat? When do we go out? When does the house calm down? People often think routine is boring. For many dogs, routine is what allows joy to happen. It is what lowers the background noise in the nervous system. This does not mean your life has to become rigid. It means the things that matter most to your dog should feel dependable. Meals roughly when they expect them. Walks with some consistency. Predictable rituals around bedtime. Familiar moments that tell them the world is still making sense. And once a dog feels that rhythm, they stop spending so much energy bracing for change. Which leads to the last one. The one many owners think they're already doing, but often only in fragments. And this might be the thing your dog has been waiting for most of all. 6. Speak to them like they belong in your life. Not just in your house, your dog knows your voice better than you think. Not just commands, not just sit, stay, come, and no, your real voice. The one you use when you are tired. The one you use when you are relieved to be home. The one that softens without you noticing when you say their name. Dogs are unusually tuned to human speech and emotional tone. Studies have shown they process both what we say and how we say it. And they can distinguish when speech is directed at them versus someone else. Across thousands of years living beside us, dogs did not merely learn to obey human sounds. They evolved to pay attention to them. And here is the heartbreaking part. Some dogs spend years hearing mostly instructions. Move, wait, off, come here. No, leave it, necessary. Yes, but not enough. Because what many dogs wait for is not just management, it is inclusion. Good morning, I missed you. You did so well. It's okay. I know. Let's go together. You're safe. Words like those do something commands do not. They make a dog feel addressed, not handled. And no, your dog does not understand every sentence the way a person would, but they understand rhythm, tone, repetition, emotional meaning, and the fact that your attention has landed fully on them. To a dog, that matters a lot, because when you talk to your dog like they are part of your daily life, not just one responsibility inside it, you give them something deeper than stimulation. You give them belonging, and that is the answer to the question we started with. What has your dog been waiting their whole life for you to do? Not spoil them, not entertain them, non-stop, not be perfect. They have been waiting for you to slow down enough to make them feel safe, respected, and included, to give them space without abandonment, affection without pressure, presence without demands, walks that feel like theirs too, a life they can predict, a voice that reminds them they matter here. That is what loyalty meets on the other side. And when a dog receives that kind of love, you can see it in the way they exhale near you, in the way they stop watching the room and start watching you, in the way they come closer without being called, in the way your home stops feeling like a place they live in and starts feeling like a place they trust. So if you've been wondering what your dog really wants from you, this is it. Not more intensity, more understanding. And if even one part of this made you see your dog differently today, then the next time they look at you, pause before you reach. They may have been waiting their whole life for that exact moment,